Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Today is my Heilige Mother's Yahrzeit. Rusbas Mordechai. She devoted her entire life to allow my father to learn Torah all day. She excelled in Gemilas Chesed and Achnas Orchem. Even when we had a very, very small apartment in Far Rockaway, we had guests that lived by us for months at a time. Actually, I think I said this in Shiur, I was once tossed out of my bed. I was brought to the couch in the living room. I slept there for over 3 months, I think it was. There was a guy that got divorced. He needed a place to stay in my bed. Of course, on my cheshbon. Chesed on my cheshbon. But that's what it was. It was a house of chesed, achnas sorchim. Her neshama should have an aliyah. Yesterday was, last night, well, it's really 2 nights ago, I was in Borough Park for a live shiur. For me, it was one of the highlights of my life, that shiur. It was an unbelievable moment. I don't know how many people, there's different, you count yourself. Some say it was thousands, others, the Machmirim, they said it was only 700, 800. Bekitzer, let me show you a picture. I couldn't get it onto my computer. We have a little bit of a technical, but Yosef will show. It was unbelievable. It was huge. I'm not going to show. The singing was basically a solo. Hasidim don't like to sing with Litvaks. So I sang Reb Shia by myself and Animam by myself. And one guy threw it off tune a little bit, but okay. We'll show. Maybe Yosef will. It was unbelievable, Ma'amid. You want to see it again? Why? You want to zoom in case he doesn't show it. Okay, here. Oh, Yosef is in the house. Today is the 19th day in the Omer. Hayoim Tisha Asur Yoim Shem Shnei Shavuos v'Chamisha Yomim Ba'Omer or La Omer. I don't. Okay, you could show this. It doesn't really matter, but it's an email. The email doesn't do this justice. I'm going to just read one email. This individual who actually enhanced. I have to tell you, in part of why I enjoyed Borough Park so much is because of the people that I met afterwards. I met, like, one of the highlights was, I'll send you the picture, Yosef, also, remember I read an email from a yeshiva guy that his father punished him and took away his cell phone, his smartphone, and he was so bored that he had to do the daf, he decided, and then he got addicted to the daf, and then he told his father, you know what, I don't want a cell phone anymore, just give me a flip phone. So he comes over to me as they were passing by quickly, he goes, I'm the guy from the flip phone. I'm like, yeah. He goes, no, I'm the guy from the flip phone. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. You know the email? No. And finally he explained to me, and then I realized who he was. He pulled out his flip phone, he showed me his flip. He still has it a few months later. He's still steiging. It was like things like that. So one of the people that came over to me wrote me this email, but I spoke to him on the phone beforehand. Somebody asked me to speak to him. The story, the way he writes, it doesn't do it justice. I asked him to put it in writing. When I said it over on Shabbos, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. And here's the email. I'll explain a little bit more. He took out a lot of details so that he could remain anonymous. He's a well-known person. As I write to you, I want you to know I am well now. However, it wasn't always like this. On the morning of September 11th, 2001, September 11th, 22 years ago? More, 23. I was at my place of work in Manhattan Financial District, right across from the World Trade Center. What I witnessed that morning changed my life forever. The trauma that I went through that day, the things I saw and witnessed, the many people that chose to jump. I asked them, did you see the couple that was holding hands? And Joe, he says, yes, I saw them too. People fell right next to his feet. I'm not going to go into detail because there's certain details that he chose to take out of here. The subsequent collapse were too much for me. I wasn't able to get those images out of my head. My doctor only had one tool for me, and that was medicine. When I started taking the medicine, I thought it really worked until just like that, it didn't. What happened then, more doctors, more medicine, or hopelessness. I was withdrawn, depressed, always anxious, and I couldn't focus on my family and my Judaism. About a year ago, the Kitzer, it changed his life. Without any details, many, many things in his life went bad because he was addicted. I was withdrawn, depressed, always anxious, and I couldn't focus on my family and Judaism. Kitzer, a year ago, he's at the end of my rope. Suicide actually made sense. That scared me so much that I told my family I needed help. It was explained to me that if I choose to go off the medicine, it would be an extremely painful and potentially life-threatening process. If I made it through, it would be better and more equipped to handle life. I chose to go cold turkey. Of all my medicine, I started a long recovery rehab program. A few months prior to asking for help, a friend of mine had introduced me to the Shiur. And Hashem definitely sent my Refuah before the Makkah. Although rehabilitation programs do not allow access to computers or phones, I told him that I require my tefillin, my daily rabbinical lecture on YouTube to practice my religion. After begging for a few days, they finally consented. It was one of the happiest moments. The kids they said there's nothing. You can't bring a phone. You can't watch any shiur. He said, okay, so I'm leaving. And they said, no, the kids are a big fight. We're talking about a lot of money here, $2,000 a day. And they realized they're going to lose the fight. So they said, okay, we'll let you watch the shiur if we could put you in a room and there's a video camera on the screen and you can't go anywhere but the shiur. And he said that was what took him through the 8 weeks of Mamish Gehenim. He said the way the withdrawal was so unbelievable, but the shiur is what kept him alive and going. To have a respite on an oasis of Torah while I was going through the great emotional and physical pain was an unbelievable gift. After months of work, I found what we were looking for. I didn't find my new self, rather I found what I was, a pure Jewish neshama. Reb Eli, I cannot tell you how grateful I am to Rebbeinu Shalom. I can't tell you how grateful myself, my family, my friends are for what you provided for me. Your beautiful Shiur of Torah was there in the chaotic and stormy seas. And you handed me the daf that floated me to safety. I guess he's referring to Reb Akiva and the daf that saved Reb Akiva. May Hashem bench you with health, happiness. May protect all of Am Yisrael okay, I'm not going to say that word. In schus. Amen. Anonymous. Yishkoyach for the email. Really appreciate it. The koilel. It should be a chizuk for anybody that has an addiction. And it should be a chizuk for us. The loim diadaf. The koilel, sponsored by Anonymous from Lakewood. The Masechta, sponsored by Mr. Eli Stefansky, Lili Nishmas, Menachem Toporowitz, Menachem Mendelel, Veshalom Ben Yibelach, Yeshua Doiv Toporowitz. Sponsor our Chodesh, Lili Nishmas Chai Bas Yosef. Sponsor our Chodesh, the Entire MDY Family, Lili Nishmas Abraham Mנשה, Ben Moishe, Ahren, Mandelbaum, Lili Nishmas Zechrya Ben Moishe. And the fourth sponsor of the month, Refuah Shleimah, Rav Eli Ben Zissel Devorah. Parnas Hayoim, Moishe Gedalye Lichtenstein, in honor of my wife's birthday. She gets all the credit for my Yidishkeit and Torah. Parnas Hayoim, the Austein Grandchildren, Leo Schachter, Ytzchak ben Menachem Mendel on his 4th yahrzeit. And finally, in honor of Reb Shia ben Reb Moshe, we sang before, L'schis, he said, this is the Lashon, L'schis Yoel ben Esther, Panusa berevach. The heart of the month, for complete refuah for Chaim Tzvi ben Leo, Rabboisai. It's so good to be back. I mamish love it here. It's my home. I had a completely different, not that Chicago wasn't good and New York, it's just very different. Even the shiur in New York with so many people, it was just different energy because I was sitting so far away from people, didn't have this hug of warmth. I feel the love. Shkoyach, Jonathan, shkoyach. Mamish feel it. So, I know I'm missing something, but okay. Yishkoyach, you know what? First of all, Yishkoyach to Avremi Cohen, who all those days that we were in Chicago, some days he was in Eretz Yisrael and he woke up 4 a.m. to remotely help me out on the computer, to Gary Ben Moshe, to Yosef Biliak, who crazy hours, me and Eretz Yisrael, the editing, all sorts of hours. We're talking about Pesach, Erev Pesach, Motzei Pesach, Chol Hamoed. There's no vacation on the daf. There's no vacation, and a lot of people enjoy it every day, and they don't realize how many people work behind the scenes. We're doing Kahoot. I have no idea what it is. I have to talk to you about it and get it going. But a lot of people doing Chazara, a lot of people working Kahoot, making the questions, putting in. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. So yishkar to everybody. If I'm missing who you are, you know who you are. As a matter of fact, Avremi Cohen was helping us. He was in and out of the hospital in America. You picture of him in a hospital bed, and he's logging in because I didn't know how to finish. There's like a 25-step process to get the shiur streaming live with the pictures and everything. And only he knew how to do it. And Mark Ashkenazi, Shkoyach Mark, also Mark Ashkenazi, every single shiur. Shkoyach. All right. So now we only have 28 minutes to do a whole daf, a little bit more than a daf. That's more than enough. A guy goes on a Hatzalah call. He's walking down the street. He sees a guy that had this spontaneous combustion. It's a real thing, spontaneous combustion. Nobody else in the world had it besides this man, a male guy. What happened? What happened there? Why did he explode? Yeah, but I said nobody. He was with the Sotah, but nobody else. No, a woman didn't explode anywhere else in the world. He's walking down in Borough Park. All of a sudden, explodes. Welcome back to RBS. All right. So, anyways, I want to also. There's a lot of children in the room. The first 5 minutes of the shiur, first 5-10 minutes are adult related, and we're going to go b'simanim. So if you're sensitive to that, I'm giving you a warning right now. There's a pasuk that we learned. Here goes. We want to say that it has to do with a saris. That this pasuk comes to exclude a saris from the parsha of a Sotah. And we said no. If a person could have relations, but he doesn't have zera, he's in the parsha. So then, what does shikva zera? Why? What's the word zera? What does it come to teach us? So, I one day have to get to the bottom of this. Many times in Shas, the Gemara says dover acher. Sometimes it's referring to Mitzayra, sometimes it's referring to a chazer, sometimes it refers to mishkav zachar, and then the Gemara says, a lot of times the Gemara says, my dover acher. It says dover acher, and then it goes right to explain what it is. So just say what it is. I don't know yet. My dover acher, we're talking about unnaturally. He warned her not to be nishkav shaloi kedarko. It says a plural all throughout the Torah. There's no difference from natural and unnatural. It's always aser. Person is boila nida shaloi kedarko chayv kares. Elo marava prat l'shekina lo derech evarim. He said, don't have kiruv basar. Says the Gemara. If there's no relations, so it's not pritzus. It's inappropriate, but it's not znus. Torah didn't say that this is usher. I'm sure there's some isser. There's an isser, but we're not the isser that we're talking about over here of exploding. The water of the Sotah is not going to work in this case. It's just basar to basar. No, this is worse than basar to basar. This is kiruv. There's no actual relations. There's no maisa, but there's kiruv evarim. Evarim is different than basar. Says the Gemara, Nichlamanda Omar Harazu Achnasat Torah Avnishika V'Leiklumi. Okay, that's great if you hold that just touching is not asur. So Torah says, okay, he didn't do anything. So Meila, there won't be any Sotah here. But if you hold that there is an isur of just kiruv, doesn't have to be actual maisa, just touching is already considered relations, then the Sotah water should work in this case. Says Gemara, we're talking about where he warned her not what the Torah says is asur. He said something that's not asur. I am telling you, I'm warning you not to be with that person, derech evarim. Kiruv basar only. Even that I'm warning you. The same. In other words, the Torah says this is asur and this is not asur. I'm telling you, even the thing that's not asur, I'm warning you. The same. Maybe it has nothing to do with what the Torah says is asur. It just has to do with what the husband is makbid on, and he's makbid on something that's also not asur, and therefore it should work. For instance, if the husband says, I don't want you talking, and she spoke, maybe even talking, the Mayim Hamarim should work. The husband said, no, it's in the Parsha of Arayis, and I don't want you talking, and if you spoke, you should explode. No. Kamash Malon, that it does not work unless you do something that's asur min ha-Torah, and that's the end of that sugya. Brand new sugya. Omer Shmuel. Top of Chav Zayin, bottom of Chavav Amud Beis. Yisa Adam Duma Val Yisa Bas Duma. Very interesting sugya. Rashi explains, we're talking about a guy that it's not going well in Shidduchim. He has no offers, zero. He has two offers. One is a Duma, and one is a daughter of a Duma. What's a Duma? A Duma is a person that everybody in the street talks about her. That she's Mizana, she's Menayev, she's no good. You have the daughter of a Duma, and the Duma herself. Which one should you marry? It's unbelievable. Shaila. Don't marry anybody. That's not what it says here. You have to get married. And if your choices are limited, you get married also. It's unbelievable. That's what it says here. If those are your only two choices, maybe you should remain single. No. Get married to Duma. She has a terrible reputation. Duma is a lashon of speaking that we don't know anything for sure. We don't know for sure. That's what the Olam Tainas. That's the rumor in the street. This is her reputation. It's a reputation. The daughter, big tzaddikus, but she's the daughter of this reputation. Maybe she's a mamzer. I don't know. What should you do? It's interesting because it's good to know. It's a good point. People are very makbid on Reb Yehuda Chassid. So when you went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky to ask Shidu Shidduch, the names are not good. The two fathers, the two Mechotanim have the same name. Different things. He said, how old is the person? You're talking about a 30-year-old? No, there's no Reb Yehuda Chassid for 30-year-olds. That's what he said. I'm not saying the age. I just threw out age. The point is, when it's not going well in Shidduchim, and today, you're 19 and a half, forget Reb Yehuda Chassid. What do you want, an old maid at home, 19-year-old at home, Chas v'shalom. It's all relative. You can be makbid, you should be makbid Reb Yehuda Chassid. I'm just thinking that to myself. You should be makbid Reb Yehuda Chassid, not the Shever and Chodesh. Besides when it's in the middle of Sfira. This certain times you just, okay. Duma val Yisov as Duma. So the Gemara explains, the first man holds, Shazu ba metipa kshera. This girl, she's the daughter, this woman, the Duma herself, she's kosher. She's a kosher person. She just has a bad reputation. Vizu ba metipa psula, but her daughter was the daughter of somebody who has a bad reputation, so the daughter is already no good. Yisadam bas Duma, val Yisa Duma. Rebbe Paskins, and this is how we paskin la halacha, that fakert, marry the daughter. Excuse me. Val Yisa Duma, but don't marry the actual woman. Why? The daughter, says Rashi, roiv bi'ilos achar bal. So now, he's kind of talking about one of the two cases. Okay, doesn't matter, but it's a general idea. The Duma, she's married, let's say. She could be unmarried, she could be married. Let's say she's married. So if she's married, Roy Bilas Achar Baal. We have to say 51% of the time she's with her husband. So Memela what? Her daughter has a roiv that she's kosher, 51% with the husband. But she herself, there's a good chance she's going to be mizana. She has a reputation. You don't want to be with somebody that's mizana. Which is interesting. We have a shayla for the oilam here, because it could be Nogei Lamaisa, unfortunately. If you know for a fact that somebody's wife was mizana, should you go tell the husband? Are you allowed to tell the husband? It's lashon hara. You say no. Why not? He's going to be... No, you could prove. You're a eidachad, you could prove it. You saw. You know 100%. Huh? I hear what you're saying. You're saying it's just going to be lashon hara, you can't prove it. What? You know she's also, but the guy's. You hear what this Talmud Chacham says over here? Will he listen? Will the husband listen? That's what the Chavetz Chaim says. Halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa. You know for 100% sure. I have what is this? Hot? Cold. Yishkoyach. Before it turns around. Shkoyach. It's good. So, says the Chavetz Chaim that if you know 100% that the husband's going to listen to you, you have a chiyuv to tell him, because he's going to listen to you and he's going to prevent himself from doing Yisurim, because every second that he's with his wife is Asr. But if he's not going to believe it, then there's no point of saying it. Then he says also that if you could get away without saying the name, you say, listen, I saw with my own eyes, I'm not going to tell you who it is. But he says, I want to know who it is. No, don't say, then there's a problem. But if he will only listen to you, if he knows the name, then tell him also the name, says the Chafetz Chaim. Okay, that's what we're talking about over here. Mamish, this is the sugya. If she has a reputation, tomorrow she's going to go be mizana, she'll be usher to her husband, so don't marry her, says Rabbi Yochanan. She doesn't have a good reputation, she'll be no good. So again, what's the point? The point over here is that she'll be mizana tomorrow, not today. We're concerned, don't marry this Duma lady who has a terrible reputation, because you're going to marry, she's going to continue her reputation tomorrow, you'll be usher to her. But the daughter, you could be relaxed. The daughter, 51% of the time, she's with her husband. 49% of the time, I don't know what she's doing. She's outside somewhere. But the daughter came from a relation that was with a father and a good kiddushin. She's kosher. It's a married shidduch, says Rashi. For normal people, stay away from this. If these are the only two people left in the world for you, go ahead. Meisvei. So now, if you were writing a Shulchan Aruch, what would you write based on this halacha? You should marry a who? A daughter of a Duma. So what should it say? Noisa Bas Duma. 3 words. What does it say in the Braisa? Meisvei Noisa Adam Duma. It doesn't say Bas Duma. It says Duma. It's a big difference. Duma and Bas, they sound similar, but they're very different. Duma is the woman herself. Rabbi Yochanan just said, marry the daughter, don't marry the mother. We just explained, Rashi says, you're not supposed to marry a woman like that. If you have no choice, if you married her, you don't have to divorce her. But you don't go marry her. So then why does the Bride say, noise, go ahead and marry her? Anybody in the world can marry her. Pshat is, it's a mistake. This whole Bryce is Meshubash. So if it's a mistake, then there's other mistakes in the Bryce. Elo im nasa. The Bryce means to say, if he went ahead and married after the fact. Therefore, just fix it completely. And end of the story. By the way, even in our generation, sometimes we curse people, not me, I heard in the street, in Hebrew, let's say, Ben, whatever, and in English, son of a, what does that mean? It could be it's based on machlokes in this Gemara. Is it, what's worse, that you are the son of, you're the daughter of somebody? Be'emes, you're the Bas Duma, is worse? Or the Duma itself is worse? It's a machlok, that's the machlokes here. So when you want to curse, you go through this Gemara. Fine. Zog the Gemara, what are you laughing? It's all Negela Maisa today. The bottom line is you should marry a Bas Duma. So if you're going to curse somebody, don't say son of, just say you are a Vayisa Duma, and don't marry the actual person. If this person is mizana, she does nus, but her kids are kosher. Why? You could assume that her kid is kosher. And not only that, we're going to see something amazing. That the husband knows that she's a no goodnik, so he kind of protects her at certain times when she gets pregnant. We're going to see in a second. If she's 51% with other people, not even with her own husband. They once came to ask Menachem Toporowitz. He said, this Kohen guy, he wants to marry a grusha. What should we do? He says, don't worry about it. Let him marry her. I know the parents. He's for sure a chalal or something. Don't worry about it. It's beside the bemes. That's Maisa. She's a prutz b'yoser. Says the Gemara, Aliba, the mandamina yishum saberes lo samach levesta lo tiboyla. So this machlokes. When is the best time? When does a person get pregnant? Is it right before she sees dam, or is it right after tefillah? I'm assuming that it's already in the time of the Gemara where they're already makbid on ziva, so it's a minimum of 12 days, 5 for Riyah, and then 7 of what do you call it? So it's what? Of samach lebes lo tiboylach. So says the Gemara, according to this man, there's no shayla lo yodaba v'lo mantala. The husband, we're talking about a woman who doesn't have a veses kavua, so every month it could be in a different day. So he has no idea when to protect her. When I'm reading this, I was going crazy. He has a wife, I mean, this is the last shidduch in the world for him. And they told him, get married to her, don't worry about it. But he has to make sure that she's not mizana on certain days of the month, because then she might get pregnant and it won't be his kid. I don't understand what's going on here. But if a woman gets pregnant after tefillah, so then he knows exactly when it is. So he protects her, he makes sure she doesn't go out. Or maybe it says Rashi could sneak out when he's not paying attention, and we have a problem. Teiku. It's very interesting that in our days the doctors say that it's more samach l'tefilasa. So, which really means 14 days before she sees dam. Which, derech agav, there's a very interesting problem which happened to Reb Eliashiv's daughter, and that's an akara lahalacha. In other words, she can never become pregnant because if her vest is less than 26 days, and the only time she can get pregnant is 14 days before her vesses, it comes out that she can never get pregnant. And they try to find the issue, a trick. When we're learning Nida, we spoke about it. Okay, just very sad and today I think they could fix it with medicine and stuff like that, but she never had children, actually. Okay, Zok the Gemara. Ve'ilu shebezdin. So the Mishnah says that sometimes the bezdin steps in and is mekana for the husband. Does the kino? He warns the wife. The bezdin walks over to the wife because the husband is in jail, whatever. He's not capable mentally. So they go over to the wife and say, "Listen, we see that you're talking to so and so. We're warning you. Don't talk to so and so." Here's the chart. Ish, because it says in the pasuk, Daber b'nei Yisrael v'amarta aleim, ish. No, obviously, it's double lashon. He says to Ishto, his wife will veer and steer away. L'rabbis, Eishes cheresh, v'eishes shoita, v'eishes shamum, two different types of shoitim, a shoita and a shamum. V'shalach b'alim nisayam. He went away, he has no idea what's going on at home. He has no control, he doesn't know. Bezin steps in. Why do they step in? To get rid of her, to get rid of the ksuba. Now, let me ask you a question. Ksuba is in the Torah or is it in the Midrabanan? Midrabanan. So how's it possible the pasuk is coming to tell me that ish, the extra word ish, is that she loses her ksuba? That's Taisa's question. So yeah, Taisa says the main limud is Baal and Boyle, we'll see a little later. Shalom Aleichem, guys on Zoom. They're still holding. Gevaldik. Yochel Avla Ashkoison. So I think that if Bezdin does the kinui, they warn the woman. So Bezdin also give her to drink, let her explode. The only person that could make the woman explode is the husband himself, because it says Ha'ish, the man brings Vehevi-ish and nobody else. Rabbi Yossi says, even to give her to drink, Bezdin is allowed to. Sorry, that what? That the kinoi Bezdin does, and when he comes out of jail, that kinoi works, that he could schlep her to give her to drink. As you see in the pasuk, it says in one pasuk Yudalid Vavar Ruach Kino v'kines ishtoi, and then it says in pasuk Tesvav v'hevi ish. So he does the kinoi. He does the steer, the exploding. V'kine v'hevi. Rabbi Yossi Sovar loy be'inon v'kine v'hevi. He doesn't darshan this. It's not the one that does the kinoi, does the steer, does the heavy. If Bezdin did the kinoi, he could continue on their job and bring her to the Beis Hamikdash. Tana Rabbana. Asher tista isha takas isha. Lakish ish liisha of isha lish. So take a look at this for a second, because I know that there's some confusion. The word Isha means the man. Isha with a Yud is a man. Isha without a Yud is a woman. So try to remember that. Ashatista Isha Tachas Isha. It sounds the same, but it's spelled differently. That the woman will stray when she's under her husband. Isha, her husband. Says the Gemara Lakish Ish Isha of Isha Ish. There's a hekish between the two. For a number of things. That if something's wrong with the husband and he can't do Kinu and Stira, so whatever that thing is, let's say he's blind, so then if she's blind, you can't do Kinu and Stira to her either. that the eyes of the husband didn't notice what's happening. So he has to have eyes. He has to be able to see. So he's not in the parish of Kinin Stir Kachi Im Haisa Suma Lo Haisa Shaisa. The whole parish of Sotah doesn't apply to a blind woman. Of course, he's usher to her. Of course, she's mizana and she's chayv misa. But the waters are not going to make her explode. There's also an exemption for somebody who is lame. She has to stand. So take a look over here. The kohen and the woman do tnufa, back, up, down, front, and back, tnufa. And if she can't hold it, she doesn't have hands, she can't do tnufa. So she's not in the parish. She needs to have hands to lift it and go up and down. She also has to stand, it says. So it's interesting, in the sugya on Daf Yotes, you'll all remember this. When we learned this sugya of tnufa, and Tosfos asks a question, how could a kohen put his hands on a woman's hands? So what does Tosfos say? Either there was a towel, or he was very old, he had no yetzer. But Tosfos brings a Yerushalmi that says, if she doesn't have hands, you could bring a separate kohen, a second kohen, to do her job. Two kohanim do it. Yerushalmi argues over here on this sugya. So you see, there's no machlokes here. One is a problem in him. He doesn't have eyes. He's not in Sotah. So if she doesn't have eyes, she doesn't see. She's not in Sotah. Over here it says if she doesn't have hands, she's not in Sotah. And therefore we go to him. Shkoyach Avremi, Shalom Aleichem Avremi. Round of applause for Avremi. Shkoyach. Thank you. V'nosan al-kapel. Kachu im hoya chiger gidim lo hoya mashka. Mar barashi omar keshem shilems lo hoysa shoysa. D'chsev v'omra isha amen amen. If a woman cannot speak because she can't say the words amen amen, it says in the Torah she must say amen amen. So too kachim hoya ilem lo hoya mashka. So if he can't speak, you don't give her the waters. By the way, real quickly before I say Hadran, real quickly. If, let's say you have an old man, he doesn't know what's flying. He says shahakal on his water, then he says shahakal on a candy, then he says shahakal on a piece of meat. Do you say amen on his bracha or not? The answer is yes. Why? Because in his mind, he thinks he's doing the right thing. For him, he's not supposed to, but because he thought he's supposed to make a bracha, you could say amen. Similarly, they say it about the Chazon Ish. I heard it once about Reb Kanevsky, that somebody made the bracha shechalak mechachmasoi. And he said, amen. He says, even though I'm not worthy, but you are a shaitan amaretz, you thought I am, and you said it b'kavana, so I'm going to say amen to your kavana thing. Okay. With that, we say, Hadran alach arusa, Hadran alach arusa, Hadran alach arusa. So real quickly, in the beginning of Shas, everybody learned this, because in the beginning of Shas, and not only that, I in the last few months, I spoke to dozens and dozens of people who are going back to the beginning of brachas. In their mind, they are going to catch up to the rest of Klal Yisrael. We're holding in the middle of Shas now, but almost by Sotah. So they're going back to brachas. So everybody goes to brachas and they get to Shabbos. I didn't hear from many people. Oh, I also finished Shabbos and Erev. And most people, I just finished brachas. You just heard from Lak. Just finished brachas. I'm starting for Shabbos. Alavai, should go weiter. In the beginning of brachas, all the way in the beginning of brachas, the famous story. Reb Gamliel was the Nasi, and they kicked him out. And they put who? Reb Elazar ben Azariah. Harei ani kiven. We just said in the Seder. Everybody knows this. That was the day that Harei ani kiven. He also got a white beard, even though he's very young. That day, and that our mission is going on that day. Boy bayayim. So the Gemara over there says, Boy bayayim. Boy bayayim. They open up the doors. They let in all the talmidim, even though toichay loy kibaroi. Either 400 extra safsalim benches or 700 machlokes in the Gemara. There's a lot of stuff going on that day. But what happened was they had a lot of machlokes in, Yeshua and Gamliel, and they settled everything. Boy bayay. Some of the stuff that went on Boy bayay is our Mishnah. Because Rashi says all the way at the end that even this part of the Mishnah is Boy bayay. So take a look at the boom. Okay, she explodes. Great. You guys know what that looks like. And then Okay, fine. He was wearing an MDY yarmulke. I don't know why. Because it says in the pasuk, "Ubou hamayim amarim ubou ubou." So here the two psukim ubou hamayim amarim ha'ele b'me'ayich ubou ubou hamayim amarim. The Gemara is going to say, do we darshan from the extra vav in the beginning of ubou, the two words ubou. Real quickly, Taisus points out here that the word hama'arim is 496. 496 divided by 2 is reish mem ches, remachi varim. Remachi varim, her evarim, and his evarim. The only problem is that they speak about it, that a woman has a little bit more evarim than a man. She has 252, I think, but it's only those that are metame ba'oil, which is remach. Okay, fine. Another very, very important thing that Taisus says over here is the story of the guy walking down the street in Borough Park exploding. How's it possible? It says Taisus, if he was a mazid and she was a shaygig and she drinks the water, he will explode and she won't explode. It's also possible, as Taisus points out, that she could explode 3 years later because she has a schus that's toila and he'll explode right away. Says the Mishnah, Kishem shasur lebal, kach asur leboil. She is also to her husband from now on, and she's also also to the noyef. So, Taisus also points out a very interesting thing. Just like a woman is also to her husband's brothers, a woman is also to her brother-in-laws, she's also also to the noyef's brothers. Shenemar, nitma, v'nitma, it says the word v'nitma twice. Devorah Rebbe Akiva. It says more. It says 3 times with different limudim, as we'll see. Devorah Rebbe Akiva. That's the way Zechariah ben Akatzav used to darshan. Rebbe Yomer shnei pa'am amurim b'parsha nitma v'nitma echel habal v'echel habayel. So where are we? V'nitma v'nitma. The extra vav 2 times v'nitma echel habal v'echel habayel. That same day that Reb Elazar ben Azariah became the Nasi, real quickly, let's show this. Okay, so these are the Shmona Shratzim. Fine, we know that. This you don't have to know about Peh, but everybody that's part of the Shiur knows this, and it's very easy and doesn't scare anybody. The way it works is the worst tumah is a dead person. He's a via voice tumah. We're not talking about a dead person. We're talking about a dead sheretz, one of the Shmona Shratzim. A sheretz, let's call it a mouse, is avatuma. And the way tumah works is when you touch the avatuma, then you go down 1 level, you become a rishon. If you touch the rishon, you go down 1 level, you become a sheni. You touch the sheni, you go down 1 level, shlishi, you touch the shlishi, you become a revi becomes a chamishi. Now, only certain things can become a sheni, only certain things can become a shlishi. There's a fascinating halacha when it comes to kli cheres, earthenware. Earthenware becomes tameh just mitoichai, just by the ear. If the ear contacts a dead sheretz, the whole kli becomes tameh. So think about it. If you have an oven made out of earthenware, and in the oven there's a loaf of bread being baked, and a dead sheretz is hanging by a string into the oven, does the bread become tameh or not? Well, the only thing that should become tameh is the oven, the cheres, because cheres becomes tameh from the ear, not bread, not food. But the bread is touching the cheres. So if the cheres touch the avatuma, the sheretz, the cheres becomes a rishon, goes 1 level down, the oven. So what does the bread become? A sheni. Let's see inside how it looks on the chart. Here's a kli cheres, earthenware. A sheretz goes in, it's avatuma, the sheretz. It goes and it's not touching the kli cheres at all, it's just in the ear. So what happens? The whole kli cheres becomes a rishon. What happens to the bread? Comes a sheni. Now what happens if that bread touches another piece of bread? So we always learned that food cannot make other food tameh. Rebbe Akiva over here in the Mishnah says it does become tameh. So if that bread is a sheni and touches a bagel, according to Rebbe Akiva, the bagel goes down 1 step, becomes a shlishi, not only if it's truma, even if it's chulin. Because usually Shlishi is reserved for very high level things like Truma. Rabbi Akiva says even Chulin. Let's see inside. Very, very simple now. Ukli cheres asher yipol mehem el toichai, into the ear of the kli cheres, into the earthenware. Kol asher b'toichai yitma, everything that's inside the earthenware should become tamei, including the bread. And oemet tamei ela yitma. If you take away the nekudas, we don't know how to read it. It could say yitma. It could also say yitame. The tamei acherim. It teaches us that it makes other things tamei. Limid al kikar sheni, that the bread who's a sheni shemetama es ashlishi has the right to be metama another piece of bread, even chulin. Who's going to take off the dirt from your caver? He's already buried. Who would take it off? Make when you were alive. He was all concerned. Rashi explains, and Gemara is going to say later, that he only learned that a sheni makes a shlishi through a kavachomer. He was concerned that later generations are going to slug up his kavachomer and they won't believe in the shlishi. It's only kavachomer. Maybe Lo Mikra, Rebbe Kiva, Zitalman's Talmud brings a pasuk. He brought a pasuk. Don't worry, it's not even a kavachomer. He has a real pasuk. Nobody's going to slug it up. And that day, Rebbe Kiva said, the Leviim, they didn't get a nachla. We had to give them many of our little cities that they used. And it says in the pasuk, it's Pias Kedma Alpayim Ba'ama. So now Menachem Mateh is going to say the trup for us. Is that the only one? Is that the only one in the Torah, Menachem? Karnei Para. You see the mem? Nu, how does it go? Nu, say it. Okay, you don't want to say it. Put him on the spot. You can do it. One last chance. Right there. But it says like this. It says that they get 1,000 amma and it says they get 2,000 amma. Which one is it? I'm going to show you a picture and you'll understand. Here it is. See this picture? It's beautiful. All Yoshi. Is it 1,000 or 2,000? You can't say it's 2,000. It says it's 1,000. They get just grass, 1,000. That makes it beautiful. It beautifies the city. Don't clutter. Clutter is no good. Open area is beautiful. And another 1,000 amma, not 2,000. Another 1,000 amma is Tchum Shabbos. In other words, the total is Tchum Shabbos. Rebbe Kiva in all of Shas is the only one basically that holds that Tchum Shabbos, 2,000 ammas, is a deraisa. Everybody else holds is the Rabbanon. So that's this picture right over here. That according to the other Manda Omar, it's 1,000 amma of grass and 1,000 ammas that they get to plant their trees to have food. Rabbi, so let's stop over here. Rabbi, have a wonderful day.